The day my wife said she was going shopping should have been ordinary, but something about the way she avoided my eyes made my stomach tighten. "Just a few errands. I'll be back before dinner," she said, grabbing her purse too quickly. I nodded, pretending not to notice. But what I didn't know then was that this simple trip would tear my life open. By evening, I wasn't waiting for dinner. I was sitting in my car outside a cafe, staring at something I never thought I'd see, and someone I never thought she'd betray me with. We had been married for 5 years. Nothing flashy, just a stable life in a small rented house near the city center. I worked in IT support, and she, Alina, managed a boutique clothing store part-time. "We're doing fine," she used to say when bills got tight. I believed her. Every morning, I made her coffee before work, and she always kissed my cheek before leaving. It felt normal, predictable, even safe. I never questioned her shopping trips before. Why would I? Trust was the foundation, or so I thought at the time. But over the past 2 months, something shifted. She started guarding her phone like it contained state secrets. "It's just work stuff," she'd say when I glanced at it. She began dressing differently too. More carefully, more deliberately. New perfumes I didn't buy her started appearing. "A customer gifted it," she claimed once. I laughed it off, but the doubt started growing quietly in my mind. Still, I told myself I was overthinking. After all, marriage isn't about suspicion, it's about trust. At least, that's what I kept repeating to myself. Then came the shopping days. Every Thursday, like clockwork, she'd leave around 11 a.m. The mall is less crowded then, she explained. But she never came back with much. Just small bags, sometimes nothing at all. One day I joked, "Are you secretly funding the mall survival?" She smiled but didn't laugh like before. That was the first crack I felt. Still, I ignored it. I didn't want to become the kind of husband who interrogates every move. But deep down, I started counting her exits more carefully. Things escalated when I noticed she started leaving earlier and coming back later. One Thursday, she texted, "Long lines everywhere. Going to grab coffee after." That coffee lasted 3 hours. I checked her location once, something I rarely did, and saw it ping near a residential area, not a mall. Probably a glitch, I told myself. But my voice didn't sound convinced. That night, I barely slept. I kept replaying every small inconsistency. Trust was no longer automatic. It was something I was beginning to question with every breath. The breaking point came when I found a receipt in her jacket pocket. It wasn't from a store, it was from a cafe across town, dated the same day she said she was shopping. The timing didn't match. My hands shook as I held it. When she got home, I asked casually, "How was shopping?" She smiled too quickly. "Busy, but fine." I held up the receipt. Silence fell between us like a wall collapsing. "Oh, I met a friend there," she said after a pause that felt too long. "A friend," I repeated. "Since when do your shopping trips include coffee dates across the city?" Her expression hardened. "You're making it sound worse than it is." I tried to stay calm. "Then explain it to me." She avoided my eyes. "I don't need permission to meet people." That sentence hit harder than I expected. I wasn't asking for control. I was asking for truth. But she walked away, ending the conversation with, "You're overthinking again." Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was hiding behind her words. That night, I did something I wasn't proud of. I checked her messages while she showered. I didn't find romance or confession, but I did find one name repeated, Mark. My best friend. My closest ally since college. The same guy who had been at my wedding, laughing beside me, raising a toast to our future. My chest tightened. "No," I whispered to myself. It didn't make sense. But the timestamps did. Long calls during her shopping hours. Deleted messages. Something was clearly wrong. The next Thursday, I didn't go to work. I followed her instead. She left at 10:45 a.m. Same routine, same calm expression. I kept distance as she took a taxi instead of walking toward the mall. My hands gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. She arrived at a small cafe near Riverside Street. I parked across the road. Through the glass window, I saw her sit down, and then I saw him walk in. Mark, smiling, sitting too close, too familiar. Everything in me went cold. I waited 20 minutes before walking inside. My heart wasn't racing. It felt strangely quiet, like everything had already ended before I even entered. I stood beside their table. "So this is the friend?" I asked. Both of them froze. Alina stood up immediately. "It's not what you think," she said quickly. Mark looked away. I laughed once, bitterly. "Funny. That's exactly what people say when it is." The cafe noise faded around me. I wasn't shouting. I didn't need to. The truth was already loud enough. "Man, I didn't want it to go like this," Mark finally said. That sentence shattered the last piece of denial I had. I turned to him. "You didn't want it? You've been meeting my wife behind my back." Alina stepped forward. "We didn't plan this, it just happened," she said. I shook my head slowly. "Things don't just happen for months." She looked torn, but not surprised that I knew. That realization hurt more than anything. This wasn't new to her. It had been ongoing, hidden, and deliberate. I left without another word. That night, I didn't go home. I sat in my car outside our house for hours. Eventually, she called. "Please come back. We need to talk." I answered, "We already did." She cried, but I didn't feel anger anymore, just exhaustion. The next day, I moved into a small apartment across town. Mark texted too, saying, "I never meant to hurt you." I blocked him. There are mistakes you don't explain your way out of. Some actions end trust permanently. The divorce process started quietly. No drama in court. No shouting matches. Just signatures and silence. Alina tried to reach me twice more. "We can fix this," she said during one call. I replied, "You don't fix something you kept breaking in secret." She didn't argue after that. I heard later she moved in with a colleague from her store temporarily. Mark left the city for a job transfer. Life moved on, but differently now. I stopped measuring days by trust and started measuring them by peace instead. Months passed. I focused on work, started running again, rebuilt routines I had abandoned. Friends asked if I regretted anything. Honestly, I didn't regret finding out. I regretted ignoring the signs for too long. One evening, I ran into Alina outside a grocery store. We didn't stop. She just said softly, "I'm sorry." I nodded. "I know," I replied. And then we walked past each other. Not enemies, not lovers. Just two people who had already lived through the end of something they once called forever. Looking back, the betrayal wasn't just about who she met. It was about how easily truth can hide behind ordinary days like shopping trips. I learned that silence in a relationship isn't peace. Sometimes it's distance growing quietly in disguise. Not every ending is loud or dramatic. Some just fade when trust finally breaks. I don't hate them anymore. I just understand now that loyalty isn't proven in words, but in consistency. And once that consistency is gone, no explanation can truly rebuild what was already lost.